Welcome back to the guest list. Now, here with me today is Amanda Wignell. Amanda, you are a professional wedding photographer. Now, you don't just take wedding photos, you do all sorts of photography, that's correct, isn't it?
Yeah, no, that's right. I do weddings and portraits and some commercial stuff, all sorts of things from flooring catalogues to door handles, jewellery, flowers, cakes, to do with the wedding industry, but also other things as well. But people and weddings predominantly, yeah.
How do people find you? We can, if somebody is looking for a wedding photography, how do they find you?
Oh, well, on the web, www.awp.co.nz, and on Facebook, and loads of wedding blogs and websites, yeah.
Actually, I think on my website, Lavish Events, we've got loads of your photos as well because they're just absolutely stunning. So people can also see some of your work and see links to your
they're
website.
linked through there.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, as a wedding planner, I always say to couples, if there is a way that you can save money, go for it, because weddings are expensive. Mm-hmm. So if you've got a mum who can bake a cake, or if you've got an auntie who can help make dresses, fantastic. But when it comes to the photography, that is when you need to find and hire a professional wedding photographer as opposed to just a photographer, because there is a difference. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. Your wedding photos are what you have after the wedding. They're what you have in your hand as a memory, and it's predominantly going to be your the thing you have at the end of it. So getting a professional to do it is very important. You don't want somebody who wants to become a photographer or wants to have a go at it practice on your wedding. They should really be doing that in their own time before they take on a wedding. It's quite a stressful job for those that aren't experienced in it. So yeah, you need somebody professional, somebody who knows what they're doing.
How did you get into it?
Well, I wanted to work for myself. I liked taking photos, and I decided that weddings was a real passion for me. And when I got married, I thought I can do that. So whilst I was working, I learnt through Unitec and some part-time courses, and then I did a few friends' weddings and some portrait sittings for friends, and I did it that way. So I didn't go to uni and do a degree. So I'm sort of self-taught, and I did do a lot of courses, but then I joined a professional organisation, the NZIPP, so New Zealand Professional Photographers, and did wedding and portrait and commercial photography qualifications, and lots of added educational courses on top of that. So a professional photographer is a professional, somebody who earns their living from doing it, and weddings is quite particular. So yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing. It gives the client the peace of mind that they're getting a professional, and at the end of the day their service is going to be professional, and they're going to get a product that they can count on.
Because running a wedding day is quite a challenge for somebody who doesn't do it all the time. Get the time schedule, making sure they've got photos of everybody that should be having their photos taken, and on time with the bridal party, keeping everyone calm and patient, and that can be a task at some time. You have people on different levels during the day. So yeah.
Now, one of the challenging things that I understand that you must face is a couple comes to you for an initial consult. How do you get them to understand the value that you are going to add? Because wedding photography is an expensive thing, or it can be an expensive thing. But how, apart from actually saying, well, this is a portrait of my work that I can do, how do you get them to understand the value of what you do, and how would other photographers get to understand the value?
Well, explaining exactly what I've just said about being a professional and having the experience, but the personality comes across in a meeting, a consultation. I think you have to gel with the person that you're sat with. You've got to feel like you're going to be comfortable with them all day, from getting ready right through to dinner and maybe the first dance. You're going to be there with them. So somebody who's experienced and can handle everything is a very important part of the process. But also they've got to like your work and see that you can photograph all aspects of the day, not just a few hero shots that you see that you like in a magazine or something like that. So that meeting is quite good. And sometimes I book clients I don't even meet. They may Skype, or they've just seen my website, or and other photographers will have that too.
Now, being a wedding photographer, there's a huge sense of responsibility because you do have a big job to do, and if you don't get it right, that's it.
Yeah.
So big shoulders.
Yeah. So you have to reassure your client when you're having a consultation with them that you can handle the job. And if you're seeing a photographer that you're not sure whether they can do that, then you really shouldn't be booking them. You've got to be everything to everybody on the day. You can't reshoot it. You can't go back and do it all again. So you really do need to make sure you're booking someone professional and that you have full confidence in that they know what they're doing. Yeah.
One of my questions was going to be, what should a potential client be going to a photographer and asking them in their initial consult? What are the kinds of things that they should be saying? Like, hey, I'm looking for a photographer, but what are the questions that they should be asking of you or another photographer?
Yeah, in some of the magazines, the wedding magazines, there are checklists. Some of them are quite long and, quite lengthy in the discussion, but really and truly, I think you need to be finding out where your photographer's background lies, in how long they've been a photographer, where they trained, whether they have backup gear, whether they work alone or have an assistant. It's not always necessary, but sometimes it's necessary. And also what backup they have for themselves, because everyone gets sick. And if the photographer is really sick, I'd have to be really sick not to be able to do a wedding. They need a backup. So I have a backup plan roughly in place. It can't always be the same person, but roughly I have a few people that I can talk to do it, but it would be a very last minute thing if something really went wrong. So, that needs to be in place, those sort of questions.
Now tell me, from your perspective as a photographer, what inspires you?
Big question.
I know,
it's a very hard one.
But you've shot so many, again, talking weddings, you've shot so many weddings.
Yeah.
When you open up a magazine or if you're online, when you see it, you go, oh my gosh, that is...
I think pure beauty and pure classic glamour overrides everything. When you look at wedding photos or you look at photos of couples or anything to do with love, the classical photo that is timeless, it really comes through that more than any trend or fad or colour treatment. At the end of the day, it's chemistry between the couple or the person and the lens, really. If you look at the photo and you feel something, then that's good. If I look at the back of my camera and I've shot something and I feel it and I just go, yes, that's the one. And I can get quite excited on a shoot. I go, yes, that's it, keep going,
Oh, fantastic. That's beautiful.
So I think classic beauty and love and glamour come through over and over. So when you look at a photo and you see something and you think that is beautiful, that is love, then that's what inspires me. If you look at a photo on the back of your camera and you think, yep, that's telling me something, that's perfect, and I think, yes, that's great. And sometimes I say to my couple, that's perfect, that's awesome, keep going, don't do anything different. That's really what I like. So when I open a magazine and I see something and I see it's beautiful and classic and glamorous and telling a love story or something funny, but it's classically clever, I think, that's me, rather than a fad or a trend necessary that may come or go.
Because I have noticed that there are a lot of styles at the moment, and it's very photoshopped, it's very artistic, which I quite like, but I can see that in 20 years' time that could be quite dated. So I totally get what you're saying. It'd probably be good to have quite a mixture.
Yeah, I do a mixture. I do a few art pieces or samples of what images can look like. But throughout the wedding can be 4, 6, 7, 800 photos depending on how long the day is. Some are 1,000 if we're doing big Indian wedding or a big Chinese ceremony or something like that. But you do some in black and white and some classically half sepia and stuff, but anything over the top of that artwork wise you would just do a few.
Fantastic. Now, question. Let's talk about having photos taken prior to the ceremony. Now, we're talking about the photos of the couple or the couple with their bridal party. Traditionally, it used to be the bride and the groom would not see each other prior to the ceremony, so it would always be ceremony, then the photos, and then the reception, which meant that there was a big gap between the ceremony and the reception, and often then the then the guests would be then standing around for quite some time. But there's been a big move of late, which I am personally in favour of having photos taken prior to ceremony and then moving from ceremony almost directly into reception. What are your thoughts on that?
I totally agree. When I first started doing a few weddings with the photographs before the ceremony, the bridal party photographs before the ceremony, I wasn't all that keen because it put my shoot out of order.
Right.
I think that was when I was still shooting on film, so it was a little bit more tricky to just move images around on the computer like you can now and renumber. But I'm a big fan of it now. There are a few reasons why I'm a big fan of it, and there's, the list goes on, more than against, really. The only reason I can see that you wouldn't do that, well, maybe two reasons. The main reason is if you're having an early wedding in the morning. Say, if you're getting married at 11 o'clock and you're having a lunchtime reception, then you can't really do it. You can't get ready in time, or you're so traditional that you don't want to see your partner
hanging on
before.
to that tradition,
So the reasons I'm for it mainly are because you can go places that you can't get to in between a ceremony and reception. You can spend more time with your partner and your bridal party and have more fun in a more relaxed time. It's your day. If you do it the other way around, the traditional way, it's like, get ready, have the ceremony, have the family photos, go off and have your photos, quick, then the reception. You never get as much time as if you do it the other way around. Have some photos on location with your partner and bridal party, have some fun, then go off and freshen up, and then you still get that walking down the aisle and everyone seeing you for the first time apart from the bridal party, but the nerves have all been taken away and you enjoy it a lot more.
That nerves thing is a big thing, actually, and it's amazing people don't factor that in, but I've seen that with my couples as well. And they arrive at the ceremony having spent a few hours together and having a good old laugh and a chat and having that fun time together, and the nerves are just gone. So it makes a huge difference. So they're far more engaged in their ceremony, which is fantastic. So I'm with you, totally all for it. All right, just before we wrap up, a couple of tips for how a couple can relax in front of the camera, because a lot of people, they are quite phobic in front of a camera and they're just, I'm not good, I don't want to take the photo, all those sorts of things. But obviously that's why you are there. They are there to have their photo taken. What would you recommend?
Well, first of all, when people say that, I do try and reassure them that on their wedding day they will feel a little bit differently about having their photo taken, and I do believe that there isn't really such a thing as not photogenic. Some people might beg to differ, but I think if you are in your element on your wedding day, then things will be slightly different. You're dressed up and but engagement shoot before the wedding can help relax a couple if they're really concerned about having their photos done. And also people can be quite concerned about blinking in photos. So I think they need to realise that a professional photographer's camera gear is a lot quicker than most people's point and shoot or iPhones that they're using or things like that have got that delayed reaction where they smile and then they go blink and they get their eyes shut in their photos. Our cameras are a lot quicker than that and can multi-shoot a lot quicker. And on the day, if a couple is a little bit worried, then humour is always the best way, I think, to diffuse nerves. If a couple's a little bit stiff, then I just make them go for a little walk and make them have a little chat and maybe laugh. Or, if they're not smiling in a relaxed way, I'll say, can you laugh at her, look at each other, laugh, and on the outside, not just on the inside, and that normally makes them laugh. And or there's always a handy groomsman or bridesmaid to help them laugh. But definitely laughter, humour is a good tool for that. Yeah, I think most people are more relaxed on their wedding day than they think they're going to be with the camera.
That's very true.
Yeah.
That's very true. Amanda, thank you so much for joining me here in the studio. It's been great talking to you. I think our viewers have picked up loads and loads of tips, so when they come to talk to, if not you, then certainly other photographers, they're going to be armed with all sorts of information that they can now make much more informed decisions, which is brilliant. So thank you.
Pleasure.
Right, so we've been chatting to Amanda Wignell. If you'd like to get in touch with Amanda, you can find her at www.awp.co.nz. When we come back from the break, we're going to be talking to Selena and Blair about their wedding. I am going to head off into the kitchen for a moment and go grab some honey and lemon for my sore throat, but I'll be back in a minute. See you now.